Have you ever wanted to turn a simple piece of fabric into something stunning? In this tutorial, I'll be teaching you how to make these beautiful fabric rolls that you are seeing on your screen. I made this fabric rolls, and this fabric rolls was used on the neckline of this stylish bobo and also on the lower part of the bobo. These fabric roses are so versatile. You can use them for a lot of things, not just on dresses. You can use them on bags. You can use them on hats. A lot of things. They are so versatile. And in this tutorial, you'll be learning how to make these fabric rolls. For these particular ones I made, I used organdy. You can also use organza. In fact, you can use any fabric of your choice as long as the fabric has a little bit weight. It's not so light. But for this particular one, I used organdy. My name is Oluwatosin in case it's the first tutorial of mine that you're coming across, and you're welcome. Please do well to subscribe, and do not just subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that YouTube notifies you next time I upload a new tutorial on this channel, because on this channel I upload sewing tutorials on daily basis. And to all my returning subscribers, thank you so much for always stopping by to watch my tutorials. So for this particular rules, I used organdy like I said earlier, and you will also be needing feathers, ostrich feathers. Then you will also be needing gum, fabric gum, any fabric gum of your choice, and you'll be needing a pattern to work with. So this is my pattern. I just picked any piece of paper and then I cut out this circle shape in the size that I want. Depending on how wide you want your fabric rows to be, just cut out, or depending on the shape you want, just cut it out on a piece of paper first so that it will be easy for you to just place on your gandhi and cut out. So this is the ostrich feather I used. Then you also be needing needle and thread, definitely. And I used this fabric gum. You can use any fabric gum that you can lay your hand on. Then you also be needing hot scissors. This is hot scissors. This scissors is hot, and when you use it to cut your fabric, the fabric doesn't free, as in it doesn't pull. Alternatively, you can also use your normal scissors for cutting it. It's just that you might have to dip it in like fire or flame so that it will be hot. So that when you cut it will not start pulling. The edge of your rows will not start pulling. So I placed my pattern. I folded my organdy into I think like 10 or 12 layers so that I can cut like 10 or 12 at the same time. Then I pinned my pattern on top of my fabric and I used my hot scissors to cut it round. Like I said, if you don't have hot scissors, you can use your normal scissors. Just try and place it in fire so that it will be hot, and when you use it to cut your fabric, the edge of the fabric is not pulling. So when I was done cutting, I cut as much as I needed. I think this particular one was 10 or 12 thing that I cut at the same time. If after cutting together you realize that there's a particular part that didn't cut very well, you can still proceed to cutting it individually. So when you are done cutting out like this, the next thing is to thread your needle, like pass your thread into your needle. I did double passing so that it will hold it tight. Then you pick up each of these piece that you've cut and fold it like this and place it together. For this particular roses that I made, I used 8 8. There are some that I used 6 6 for one. So for one rose, I used 8 pieces, and there are some that I used 6 pieces. In my opinion, the more the pieces, the finer the rose. Like when it's full, it's finer. 8 is full enough, 6 is fair, but anything lower than that might not give you that very, very attractive look that you are watching out for. So if you want to make it, make sure that you are using at least 6, then you can increase the number as you want. But for this particular one, I used 8 for one rose, and there are some that I used 6 for one rose. Please, if at this point you are still with me and you've not subscribed, please consider subscribing, and don't just subscribe, turn on the notification bell. So I secured it firmly, like I hand stitched it firmly, and then I kept my needle and thread aside for the second one. So when I was done stitching it, this is what it's looking like at this point. So I'll pick up this my ostrich feather and pull it out from the base. I pull it out from the base, like two strands or three strands. Just pull it out from the base, then you'll be using your fabric. Like I twisted it together. I twisted the three strands together, and then I put my fabric glue on top of it, and I kept it aside so that it dries up a bit before using it. So for one rose, I used three strands gummed together in four places. I hope that explanation is clear. So for one rose, like eight pieces that are stacked together to make one rose, I used I put feather in four places, like in four places, yeah, in four places. And you remember I said that for each feather I twisted three strands together. Three strands was twisted together for one feather. Then I used four of that. So after I put the fabric glue on top of it and left it to dry up a bit, I now put it inside my fabric rows, and then I gummed it together. Like I put it in between two pieces, and then I closed it up with my finger so that it can secure it. So if you don't allow it to dry, a bit and you are placing it immediately in your rows, it will be so messy. It will not even gum, like it won't stick down on the rows. So you just leave it to dry up a bit, and then you put it in between. You can leave it for like 10-15 minutes. Then you put it in between and use your finger to close it up, put it in between two pieces. So I did as much as I needed. Believe me when I tell you that it's not stressful, but it's time taking. It's time taking. So it's something you have to patiently do. So I did as much as I needed, and this is the outcome. Now, for that bubble that you saw at the initial stage of this tutorial, I've been making a series on how I was able to cut this bubble. I've been making a series on how I was able to cut and sew this bubble, starting from the cutting. This bubble has an inner, like an underwear, that is stitched together with it on the shoulder line. I made a tutorial on how to cut and sew that underwear. I made a tutorial on how to cut and sew the bubble. I made a tutorial on how to cut and sew that turtleneck, that bishop collar that this rose was placed on. I made a very detailed tutorial and I explained comprehensively. It was like four tutorials altogether. If you are interested in watching these tutorials, please click on the link that just popped up on your screen, or you check the description box below. In case you missed the link, just check the description box below. There's a link there that takes you directly to all these tutorials if you're interested in watching how I made this bubble from start to finish. There's a link in the description box of this video of this tutorial you're watching that will take you directly to those tutorials. At the same time, you can click on the box on the right side of your screen or the box on the left side of your screen. These boxes take you directly to those tutorials as well. If you have any question, please ask me down in the comment section. If this tutorial has been helpful to you, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. As much as possible, help me share my tutorial amongst your friends and loved ones. And I'll see you in my next tutorial.